Welcome back to For the Elevate. For those of you who've been tuning in, this is now our 10th episode. Wow, that is just awesome. Truly, we are having such a wonderful time sharing some helpful tips and even some keeping it real moments in our discussions. We hope the tips, our personal stories, and yes, even our struggles are helping you realize you have it in you to make change happen, not just for others, but for you. And speaking of focusing on yourself, we thought this was the perfect time to discuss mentoring and encouragement. Now, there's a great acronym for this that fits quite nicely. It's 2 letters, M-E, me. Quite simple and maybe even a little corny, but at least you can remember it. When you have the right mentors, the relationships and conversation can empower you to build your strengths, your resources, your effectiveness, and yes, your well-being. It really is an antidote to so much of the bad that's out there these days. And when you add in a healthy dose of encouragement, well, that really is a recipe for personal success. Now, in this episode, we're going to talk about the importance of understanding who you are and what it is you want and need from this pairing. How important it is to trust and be trusted. What you can learn to help move you towards a healthier and more holistic place to live, lead, and learn. We'll also add just a little bit of perspective around how important encouragement is on this particular journey. Now, Leanna will kick off this discussion and help us connect the head and the heart as we engage in this very worthwhile discussion.
I'm going to watch. Welcome back to For the Elevate. We are living, learning, and leading, the 3 of us, and glad you're tuning in. Today, we're going to talk about a really important topic, one that I think is important on all levels of leadership, even if you're not in a leadership position, is mentoring. Mentoring and encouraging others. Who would like to start on this informative topic?
You go for it, Kathy.
Oh, all right.
Pressure.
Thank you. Well, it is a really important topic. And, we often talk about our youth these days and how they've been, impacted by COVID and by sequestering themselves, et cetera. And so now more than ever, I think people need to have mentoring type relationships in their lives to help them navigate this new world and re-socialize. So I'm a big fan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm a big fan as well. And I think we always have to remember what mentoring is. So it's very different from coaching, right? And as a mentor, you generally are asking someone to mentor you because you see something in them that you may want to, that you really relate to, whatever that may be. But I think that's really important to distinguish between what a coach is and what mentoring truly is and how you can leverage that.
Well, that's a really good point. I always tell people the same thing, that it's often recognizing, right, those things that they don't see themselves. And I think that a lot of us, at least I know in the past, years ago, I don't do this now, but years ago, I would see someone and I would watch them doing something and I'd think, they'd be really good at fill in the blank. And I wouldn't say anything. Mm-hmm. And now I'm right out there going, you know what? Because you never know. It could be something that they've thought of doing and that's a little bit of a push for them, or it's something they've never thought of doing and it gives them food for thought. I'm sure you've had similar situations.
Yeah, it's so powerful. I mean, and we probably all can think of a comment or conversation we've had with someone in our life that really changed the way we think, may have changed our trajectory, and helped us, see things a bit differently and kind of push you towards your passion or just, better behavior, better performance, feeling better about yourself, and improving. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important, especially if you feel like you're in a rut and you're just stuck or so many bad things have been happening, and you really reach out to that mentor because they can give you perspective. They can help you break it down, look at it in a different way. And you can come out of there feeling pretty energized or with a path forward that you never had even thought about.
So what's your definition of a great mentor besides being able to draw attention to those things that we're maybe not thinking about on our own?
Well, first, a mentor is someone who's gone before you and done this. So I'm always looking for someone who has exhibited what I think is important in life, the right values and sort of behaviors. It's not just about accomplishments. So it's about the people, the person that they truly are. And is that someone I would aspire to be? I think that's probably the most important part of a mentor, at least from my perspective.
I think that's right. And I think one of the things we also need to remember is it doesn't have to be just one. You can have multiple mentors that you relate to in very different ways, that they all have something that you're drawn to, and you really want to get the most out of that mentoring relationship. So don't just think it has to be one. I mean, we often say, who's on that mentoring bus of yours, that network bus, but that's really important.
I like that.
Yeah, I was at a conference, I was presenting, and then someone asked me who my mentor was, and yeah, I was stumped for a minute because I have so many still, and it depends. I have a mentor for this and a mentor for that, and these are the people I call to get advice from, or get pumped up, or check in. Like, am I like crazy, or is this really an issue that I should be concerned about? So yeah, I like how many mentors do you have on your bus, and who do you like kind of call for what, and vice versa. Who are you mentoring? Hopefully a variety of people. Yeah,
that's a good point. I think people can volunteer to mentor, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now I was given, oh, go ahead. Sorry, I cut you off.
Go, sister.
I was going to say, I asked a question of a leader, someone who I really admired. I asked him a series of questions because I wanted to find out how he developed his leadership style. And I said to him, did you have a mentor? And he said, I did. And I said, was it someone you really admired? And he said, not at all. Sometimes our mentors teach us what not to do. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious about, now, is that just a bad example, or is that truly a mentor? Because he learned everything that he should not do as a leader from this guy.
Yeah, I don't know that I'd call that a mentor. I'd call that a leader that I'm learning from, that, like, and there's plenty of great lessons there. Mm-hmm. I would consider a mentor more that person I aspire to be more like, or they have some attributes that I think are really important that I can learn from. But there's plenty of those others around that we can certainly learn from. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think what's really important about a mentoring relationship is the trust factor. That's so important. They have to trust you, and you have to trust them. And those conversations are sacred. They don't go beyond that mentoring relationship. They don't use them in other, work settings, either to their detriment or to their benefit. It really is something that's very separate and certainly very trustworthy.
I love that word. I heard someone say the other day that it isn't about trust, it's being trustworthy. And that's huge. Now, how would you suggest someone start the conversation if they meet someone like yourselves and want a mentor? How should they approach a mentor? Just like, hey, what are you doing on Saturday? Can we have coffee? Or should it be a structured thing, or is it just personalized?
Yeah, I don't know that it needs to be structured at all. Some people do that. I've had people say, I would like for you to mentor me. And my first question is always, why? What is it that you want to get out of this relationship? And it's a two-way street. There's some people, I don't want to mentor, which sounds horrible, but that is reality. So I think it's first a conversation around, is this a good fit, and what is this all about to you? And I want to be the person that can help move them along, their journey, and be there to provide feedback and encouragement in those, and keep them moving forward. Encouragement's a big part of this whole mentoring process. So
I think it's important. And I think that the other thing too is quite often organizations put in mentoring programs, and those things can really fall flat because you're assigned a mentor that you have absolutely nothing in common to, or you can't relate to. The person is too busy, never really wanted to be aligned with that program, but they're doing it because they were told they had to. So you have to be careful in those kinds of situations. I think when you are selecting your mentor and can do that one-on-one, I think those are generally much more effective, but that's just my opinion. But I usually got more out of those kinds of mentoring relationships.
Well, and that gets back to the trust thing you were just talking about. You know, when you're assigned a mentor in an organization, I'm never quite sure who they're talking to, or if is there another agenda. And there doesn't have to be, but it's sort of in the back of your mind. And I think it's good to have a mentor who's free and clear of all of that, someone you can really talk to from the heart and get some real feedback. I mean, mentors help reframe, you know, that you're thinking. They help you set boundaries, and they help you work through difficult issues that I may not want anyone in the organization to know about. So
right. That's a good point. And when you talked about the importance of encouragement being part of this mentoring piece, what if it's someone, because we had a conversation about giving positive feedback. It's not the same thing. It is, I mean, it's part of it, but it's sort of the same thing, and how some people just aren't comfortable with doing it. How would you suggest someone who is not used to giving encouragement, who's been approached or volunteered to be a mentor, what do they need to bring to the table, or what does it look like?
Wow, it's really an important part of mentoring. So if you're uncomfortable encouraging others, that is something you've really got to practice. But it's really about seeing the value in the other person and being able to articulate that back to them. Like it's so powerful when someone you admire and respect is giving you feedback about your value. It's like, wow, I want to do more of that. And it really encourages you to try new things and take risks you never would have.
Right.
Yeah, and the beauty of that is that's a gift that keeps on giving, because once you experience that, then it feels so good to receive that you go out with your team and others and do the exact same thing. So I think it's a learning moment, but then it goes way above and beyond. And I think that's very powerful.
Yeah, definitely. Mentors, how would you start the whole, if it's in a work environment, should the mentor make the move? Should the mentee, I know if you look that up, it'll say it's not a word.
Coachee, won't look it up.
Coachee is not a word either. Well, it should be, because friending as a verb is now in the dictionary apparently, but regardless, is that something that individuals should just watch for someone, or ask people who would be a good mentor? I'm just trying to help folks out if they're desperate. I know so many people will say, I just need a mentor so badly, and I don't know where to find one. And every time I look for somebody, they don't have time or they don't answer me. So I don't know.
I think that's really sad. I'm going to say this. I mean, we need multi-generational mentors. I mean, you know, when you've been around the block a few times, there's some wisdom there, hopefully, that you can pass on to someone so they don't make the same mistakes you did. I mean, you know, who wants to go through that again? But I think you should be intentional about it. So reach out to someone and say, I'm looking for be able to articulate what it is you're looking for. I'm looking for a mentor who can help me, blah, whatever that is. And I see those qualities in you. I mean, like, who wouldn't want to work with that person?
Right.
I have been approached and said, when I've been asked to be a mentor, and I've said, tell me what that's about. What is it you want out of this relationship? I had one person say, I want your job eventually. And I thought, probably not the best line. I said, well, that's great. But could we bring it down a little bit and see more specifically what kinds of learnings do you want in this relationship? So anyway, so don't do that. But be able to articulate what is it you're looking for.
Yeah.
And I think the great thing is sometimes that proposed mentor that they're looking at may say, you know what, I'm probably not the best person, but I can suggest someone else and I'll put you in contact with them. You know, there's a way to continue giving in these kinds of relationships. And I think that's a great way to do that as well. But I think women especially quite often feel that we have to do everything by ourselves. We have to go it alone. So we have a hard time asking for anything. And I think, you know, this is one of those areas where you can start small, you can ask, and it will grow from there. It's getting into the practice of being able to ask for certain things, ask for help when you need it. And the mentoring relationship, you know, it can be pretty powerful, can really help you through even those kinds of issues.
Fantastic. Yeah. And I like that you mentioned multi-generational. Do not be afraid if you don't know how to work a computer program, right, to ask somebody younger who knows how to work a computer program. Exactly. Get that level of expertise, get a mentor for that as well. I think that's fantastic advice. So for the Elevate, get out there and find somebody who would make a great mentor, right?
Do it.
Absolutely.
Just do it. All right. Thank you. We'll see you next time.
Now, Leanna is right. Don't waste any more time. Get out there and find that mentor, or better yet, mentors. Now, having a mentor really is a gift that just keeps on giving. So take the time to think about what it is you need, who you can relate to, and why they might be helpful in navigating your career, or hey, sometimes maybe it's just life. Now, on to one of our favorite moments, when we get to end our chats with a funny quote to think about when those days get just a little bit too ridiculous, sometimes just a little bit too heavy. You know, maybe you're even having one of those today. We refer to these quotes as titter times. So here we go. I'm just a girl standing in front of a Tuesday, asking it to be a Friday. All right, so no author is known for this one, but the three of us can really relate. How about you? Okay, so moving on. To complete this episode, please don't forget to leave us your comments. Let us know if this discussion helped you find the courage to reach out and find a mentor, or be a mentor to someone else. We encourage you to keep connecting with the head and the heart, so you understand your value and how it can be further developed to gain the personal and professional success you so desire. So until next time, keep moving towards a healthier you.